gentlemen, welcome to our daily review on CAM1 FM. I am a presenter, I comment Charles Abane. We kickstart the session today with the Eden newspaper, which is already out today here in Limbe, on the stands and across Cameroon, as Ngi Women Honor Minister Mba Acha Rose for promoting development in a community. That's a story which could be read today on page 4 of the Eden newspaper, which is out today on the stands. Meantime, Barrister CAM1 gets hero's reception, hints on possible coalition as leader ahead of 2025 presidential elections. Drums for massive registration on voters register, and the population assures him of support and loyalty. This could be read today on page 12 of the Eden paper, which is out today as we speak. Global Funds nails Cameroon on management lapses as government suffers drops in funding, AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria diseases, which is also a must-read story today and on page 3. Meantime, the tender from CDC, as the Cameroon Development Corporation here in Limbe, the tender is already out for those people who are accustomed to the CDC tender board. Opportunities are already there waiting for you today from the Cameroon Development Corporation. You can get more inquiries today on Eden Media Group on page 8 and 9 of the paper, which is also out today as we speak. And to facilitate provision of potable water, Boisson Cameroon constructs hand borehole to government school in Undange here in Limbe. And this story could be read on page 6 and 7 of Eden paper, which is also out today on the stands. The Sun paper, which is also a Limbe-based paper, is also out today as SDF is voice of the voiceless, as Southwest Regional Chair Kona Amakia voices out his opinion on the subject. This could be read today on page 3 of the Voice or the Sun paper, which is out today. Meantime, as heat continues to flow, Eto says not candidate for presidential election and holds unhealthy focus affecting his family friends. Eto the player versus Eto the manager. That's what could be read today on the Sun newspaper, which is also out today on the stands. Kavaye Yegi Jibril warns politicians against post-election chaos and refers to architects as owls who have nothing to offer, and also says plan is display of weakness. This is a must-read story today geared towards the 2025 presidential elections on page 2 of the Sun newspaper. Defense Ministry on the offensive against indiscipline and fraud. This could be read today on page 5 of the Sun newspaper as Minfof Hands approved the Forest Reserve management plans to Boya Kumba 1 councils. Regional Delegate Delphine Ikomi warns against sale of lands in forest reserves. A must-read story too today on the Sun newspaper, which is also out today on the stands. The Dawn is also out today. Kumba City Mayor cracks down on illegal medication sales. Another story which could be read today on the Dawn. Kumba infrastructure revolution, a modern road network takes shape. That's a story which is also set up today on the Dawn, most precisely on page 5 of that particular paper. Economy over 20 youths trained on livestock, fish, and farming. Page 10 is where you could read the story today on the Dawn paper, which is out and in stands as we speak. Stakeholders vow to protect and conserve Limbe Botanic Garden. That's a must-read story for mostly the inhabitants of Limbe and Cameroonians at large, which is also today on page 9 of the Dawn newspaper. Where worshippers celebrate ram sacrifice commemoration. This could be read today on page 7 of the Dawn newspaper as we speak. And the Dawn also talks about the 1,212 fake certificates overload military recruitment, which is also a story which has been on the media and press for a couple of times now. You can read the story today too on the Dawn newspaper. The Voice paper is also out today and talks about the Bilingualism Commission, which is 7 years strong. That's what the Voice has in store today for us. And also healthy living. The surprising dangers of cheese is a story which could also be read today on the Voice newspaper. Dr. Richard Munang's climatepreneurship, the key to tackling poverty and climate change, is a story which could be read today on the Dawn, especially now that we're talking about climate change all over the world. This is a story which could actually elucidate so many issues concerning climate change in Africa and the world at large. Northwest Education Delegate touts successful 2024 GCE exams despite obstacles. It could be read today on the Voice newspaper as Decentralization Minister vows a scrutiny of Boya Council market account. Page 4 is where you could read that story today on the Voice newspaper. Volcanic Times is also out today as His Excellency Churchill Imono celebrates Philemon Yang's and Feast of Cameroon National Day. Tells Cameroon reunification story, peaceful revolution of May 20, 1972 to the world on page 6 of Volcanic Times, which is also out today. Meantime, on Volcanic Times, Taco Energy is breaking grounds in the United States of America. Taco Energy has been breaking grounds in Africa, here in Cameroon as well, but now it is going overboard and breaking grounds in the United States of America. It has been recognized by Amazon leadership for vision to generate value. CEO's vision propels company to top 15 out of 100 small businesses, and the company in pole position to grab $25,000 cash prize, marketing and PR opportunity. Congratulations to Taco Energy, which is breaking ground today in the United States of America. The pilot is also out today. The pilot is out today and talks about CHRC for Technical Education and Scientific Research as the African Child Day 2024 is on the center page of the pilot. Plus, the 3 segments of the states and their different roles in the economic development of Cameroon can be read today on the page 3 of the pilot newspaper, which is out today on the stands. Those involved in the Glencore scandal are seem to give the go-ahead as Akerimuna voices out his discontentment about the issue. The Glencore scandal, which actually took place some years back. Akerimuna continues to voice out his discontentment on this particular issue. Page 12 is where you can read this story today on the pilot newspaper, which is also out today on the stands. Remembering the Nigerian environmentalist Ken Saro-Wiwa and reach out to NGO organizers WPS Fair in Yaoundé tomorrow. These are stories which are also being embedded on the pilot newspaper today as the Bafut Mayor Guancongo Lawrence is not a liability to CPDM party but an asset. Plus, Open Dreams CEO Akaba James wins yet another international award. This could be seen on page 4 today of the pilot newspaper. The Horizon newspaper is also out today and talks about the CAA management equips journalists for accurate reporting on Cameroon's public debt. Page 4. You can read that story today on the Horizon newspaper. Meantime, campaign for release of Ayok Tabe and co-workers, for example. Nigerian lawmakers pressed Tinubu to use diplomatic and political channels to fight in the release of Ayok Tabe, who has been detained by the Cameroonian armed forces here in Cameroon as a result of secessionist ideologies back in 2016 and 2017 when this uprising started here in Cameroon. So the Cameroon lawmakers or Nigerian lawmakers pressed Tinubu to use diplomatic and political channels to see how it is possible to actually see how they can release Ayok Tabe from jail. Meantime, 6th edition of Cameroon Students Ingenuity and Talent Contest opens tomorrow in Douala. Page 2 is where you could read this story today on the Horizon newspaper as Cameroon and France also signed 2 conventions to reinforce sports infrastructures in 5 towns. This could be read today on the Horizon newspaper as the CRMO SAL CEO Dr. Ndam Ngu V has been voted as best radiologist in the center region of the country. Still on health, on the Horizon newspaper, public service doctors have been barred from switching to private sector. This could be read on page 3 of the Horizon newspaper. Meantime, still on the Horizon newspaper, tweet barrister Nico Halle vows to fight corruption, hate speech to the end. This could be read today on page 3 of the Horizon newspaper. Newswatch is also out today and also talks about the Ports International Seaport in Douala, which denounces flaws in World Bank's container port performance ranking report. The Container Terminal Management Board says Port Authority of Douala and its port complex doing well. Questions methodology employed to compile the ranking based on empirical observation, not field visit. Page 6 and 7 are the pages where you could read this particular story today on Newswatch to decipher the story on the Port Authority in Douala as the World Bank gives its own performance report. Meantime, Mindef boss dismisses 4 soldiers for paying allegiance to traditional ruler in the Bamun clan. This is another story which has been on the press for a couple of times now. 8 bills tabled in the first week is a must read story today on page 8 of the News Watch, which is out today. This particular story is geared towards the parliamentary session, which began on June 11th in Yaoundé. Meantime, poorly paid Cameroon medical doctors chase dreams in Canada. Page 3 is also where you could read this story today on Newswatch. As Northwest Rework bets on media funds to curb SGBV. And this could also be read today on page 2 of the Newswatch, which is also out today on the stands. The Median is also out today and capitalizes on putting Biya and Cameroon on the spotlight as Addis Ababa Jade celebrates Prime Minister Yang's United Nations General Assembly victory. The Median capitalizes on a particular story, which is the center of its on the center page today of the Median. Meantime, how Cameroon Tribune publisher eluded in Go sledgehammer after allegedly supporting Eto, a story which is also or should be read today on the Median paper. Meantime, Amber General Black Bats has been killed in Bakondu and his body was displayed in Kumba, a story which could be read today on the Median newspaper. And Eto plays Pontius Pilate and denies eyeing Bia's job, a story which could also be read today on the Median paper, as they describe it as Eto is playing Pontius Pilate in this particular story. Municipal updates is also on the stands today as the National Youth Council President drums massive enrollment voting in the northwest region of the country. BR releases Secretary General Dr. Chia Safa to dignity of Grand Officer. This is the center page story today on the municipal update. NAO, which happens to be the power supply company in Cameroon, gives major push to Natchigal project today on the municipal updates as National Rights Commission drums improve the access to birth certificates. Municipal updates has all the stories in store for you today. You can go to the stands and get or grab a copy of the municipal updates, which is also out today. The Herald Tribune talks about the Buyers World Bank performance ranking as Port Authority of Douala still amongst global best. That's a different angle which the Herald Tribune has actually sat down to assess the Port Authority in Douala and has shown a different angle, given us a different angle on the story. The report shows the institution is far above some established ports like Le Havre in France, Cape Town and Durban in South Africa, Los Angeles Port in America. Moreover, Djibouti and the Cotonou ports are also said to be on the list of ports, which the Douala port is still better than most. And still on the Herald Tribune, Nka and Nikwe women put smiles on Mankan victims as Kaji Sports Academy cries foul against the decision shrouding controversy. That's a story which could be read today on the Herald Tribune. The celebrating the life of Pa John Ngwendi Nebende is also a story which could be read today on the Herald Tribune. Our daily English newspaper never fails to show us what it has in store for us. The Guardian Post is out. The Douala Port Authority questions objectivity of World Bank's performance ranking, and also vows or wonders how some reports that classifies Port of Douala ahead of major ports with established reputations such as Le Havre in France, Cape Town and Durban in South Africa, Los Angeles in the United States, Cotonou in Benin, and Djibouti could cast doubt on on their management style. That's what the Guardian Post has in store for us. The Guardian Post also talks about Asong Difo, who wins all-round Best Editorialist Award. That's a story which could be read today on the Guardian Post. Meantime, in Yaoundé, the Mada International College graduates the 7th batch in grand style and also celebrates Cambridge accreditation. That's a story which could be read today on the Guardian Post newspaper. The French papers are also out today, and you know our tradition here at CAM1 TV and radio never changes. We always make sure that we translate the French papers for all Cameroonians who actually listen to English, so that they can actually feel that we are with them every day and together with them every day. Meantime, we talk governance paper, which is a French paper which is out today. It capitalizes on the 6th session of the Cameroon Customs Information System, wherein the Director General of the Customs Services in Cameroon, for God Edwin Ubaga, says the modernization of the system is of capital importance. The 34th edition of the African Child is also talked about on the governance paper, with the Human Rights Commission in Cameroon spearheading and publishing a document in relation to this affair. Financier d'Afrique headlines with the strategies put in place by Adolphe Ndongo to alleviate public debts in Cameroon between 2024 to 2026. The best insurance companies in Cameroon has also been enlisted on page 8 of Financier d'Afrique. Also, a new gas oil refinery has been announced in Gabon. You can read all the stories today on Financier d'Afrique, which is also out in the stands as we speak. Premier paper is also out today and says the port authority in Douala needs to be rescued from mismanagement as the workers' union have unanimously addressed the situation in a correspondence. Premier, that's what it has in store today for us on its center page. Meantime, Hebdo Meyumesala questions the Cameroon government by saying, what future does the Cameroon government want for the children of Cameroon, addressing the bias regime in regards to fake diplomas within the educational circle? L'Equation is also out today and focalizes today on the diplomatic ties between Chad and Cameroon. The mutual agreement and investment between both nations are of prior interest on the Equation paper, which is out today on the stands. Pilufas is also out today on the stands and focuses on the free health campaign at Biwong Bani in the south region of the country. Still on Pilufas, the MNC political party executive meets with the party members in the diaspora. These are must-read stories today on Pilufas newspaper, which is also out today. Sunday 2 newspaper is also out today and focuses on the scandals and the predicaments on both the National Assembly and the Senate, reiterating the 3 billion francs embezzlement claim, which was discussed during the parliamentary session this June. It also retrospects on the 2.7 billion francs CFA, which was also unaccounted for at the Senate in 2023. Le Zenith paper is also out today and says the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massenan Gale Bibehe, was scandalized over the weekend when his convoy was heading to Douala and was overtaken by a certain individual who drove with a white BMW automobile. The man is said to have been driving at more than 150 kilometers an hour. The minister, who was infuriated by this act, ordered his guard for his pursuit. On page 6 of the Zenith paper, the paper also talks about the Ministry of Secondary Education's Pauline Aloba-Lyongas, who addresses the rumors of leaked examinations. On the page 6 of the Zenith paper, you can read this story again. I reiterate, Pauline Aloba-Lyongas, who happens to be a secondary education minister, was addressing the rumors of leaked examinations. Logan Forum says Minister Henry Eyebe IEC has decided to reshuffle and revamp his cabinet. Meantime, Press is also out today on the stand and is also talking about President Paul Biya, who is holding on to promises. That's what the press says today for us. The press says, following the creation of a regional healthcare center in Betua, President Paul Biya has upheld his promise. Has also upheld a promise creating a metamorphosized catalyzed market in Douala, which is located in Douala, and also a lodge for motorbike riders in Douala. And these are all stories which could be read today on Press newspaper, which is also out today on the stands. Conjuncture Economic is also out today and says the National Port Authority in Douala made over 119 billion francs CFA as of 2023. This was disclosed by Shea Jones Yembe, the president of the auditing board, during the 119th administrative sessions of the Port Authority in Douala. The point is also out today and continues to focus or criticizes the Minister of Urban Housing and Urban Development's efforts in trying to revamp this sector. The point says Celestine Keta Kuches is plunging the sector into ruins. That's a story which could be read today on Le Point Hebdo. Quotidien Realite is also out today on the stands and says the president of SONACAM, Dr. Ape Bazor, reaffirms his commitment and determination to ameliorate the conditions of activists or artists and musicians in Cameroon. This could be read today on page 6 and 7 respectively on the paper Quotidien Realite. Le Soir talks something completely different and talks about the 60th anniversary of the United Nations Commerce and Developmental Forum, which took place in Geneva, that's in Switzerland. And the Minister of Trade and Commerce, Luc Magua Mbaga Ntagana, represented the President Paul Biya during this event. During the forum, the minister urged the organization to embrace the initiative of multilateralism. That's a must-read story today, especially for economic analysts and entrepreneurs in Cameroon who want to know more about this particular forum, which is embedded in the United Nations. A Koji Parliament talks something different and highlights the actions taken by senators during the plenary session this June. Lebanon focuses on the audit of the IOS Council, which has been positive so far. The paper also profiles Dr. Alain Mathieu Doko Ejane on page 5 of its paper. Meantime, Leader Press capitalizes on the education and says all the endorsed students of EIE Cameroon have all had their diplomas in flying colors. La Patrie is also out today and says Cameroon and Chad will soon be linked by motorable roads. The Minister of Transport presided over a ceremony to this effect and was in the presence of other dignitaries from Chad, such as the Minister of Commerce and Industries in Chad, Mathieu Gimboa Fanga. And Le Reporter is out today and says the Ministry of Defense is fighting vehemently against the fraudulent activities within its ministerial functions. Meantime, Martina is also out today and says the senior divisional officer of Ekwambaga sensitizes parents to take hold of their kids during the holiday period. He made reference to the 5 children who recently lost their life by drowning in Marwa. The first D'Afrique is out today and says inhabitants of Ngowe in the East region are infuriated over 150 hectares of land claimed by the Chinese company CAM1. They are calling on the governor, Kegwa Mbongo, to interfere. Bunya paper is also out today, throwing light on the roadworks being done at the Douala Eastern entrance. You can read that paper, a particular story today on the Bunya paper, which is also out and in the stands as we speak. The Drapeau is also out today and capitalizes on Cameroon, which continues to boast of its agricultural independence. Page 7 is where you could read that story today on the Drapeau, which is out today on the stands as we talk. Integration is also out today, talks about sub-regional integration in Central Africa. A must-read story on page 11 today on this paper. Econews is also out today and says there is a delicate equilibrium between investments and growth in Cameroon. Emergence on his part questions if Samuel Eto'o could and can run for presidential elections in 2025, and that's what Emergence is trying to question today, even though Eto'o has denied that he is not going to be running for presidential elections this 2025 and has pledged his loyalty to President Paul Biya. Afrique Environnement says climate change threatens the evolution of agriculture, livestock, and also the development of electricity in the northern part of Cameroon. That's what Afrique Environnement has in store today for us. L'Independent is also out today and says the National Shipyard Corporation, Chantier Naval, is at the verge of imploding with over 12 months of unpaid salaries. My reporter focuses on blood donors activity at the Gyneco Obstetric Hospital in Yassa, that's in Douala Littoral region of Cameroon. You can read that story today for those who are really interested in health, the growth of health activities in Cameroon. You can read the story today on my hospital. Eco Santé is also out today and focuses on health as always and says Doctors Without Borders has served Cameroon for over 40 years, applauding this brilliant initiative. Confidential is also out today and talks about pre-electoral maneuvers on the mandate of deputies. Confidential talks something completely different out of the ordinary today on the papers. Santé Nature Info talks about the financing of the vaccination plan in Cameroon. That's what it has in store today for us. Horizon on its own part talks about and focuses on incivism in Cameroon. What to learn from it? Plus, the fight against malaria is also highlighted on Horizon paper today, which is already on the stands. Informa 10 talks about the IOS Council exploits in 2023 as the Mayor Paul Dongo Biko was congratulated by his collaborators. This could be read today on Informa 10, which is also out today. L'Economique Quotidien is also out today and says the public debt has been on the hike since March 2024. L'Info Show talks about the management of human resources in Cameroon State as the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Lowe, will be presiding over a conference at the Hilton Hotel today in regards to the implementation of new digital systems to manage employee portfolios. Lametoye is also out today and talks about Pierre Blériot Niemek, who has been threatened to death, a story which actually talks about insecurity looming around Cameroon. This is another story which should be read today by most people here in the country. Lojou talks about education and how the new rector of the University of Yaoundé 1 wants to implement new strategies to foster growth within the university. Plus, the Lojou also talks about reputable journalist Claire Olive Yabit's funeral, which also took place in Yaoundé, as she was said to have died in France. You can read this particular story today on Lojou paper, which is also out today on the stands. Lametoye is also out today and headlines with Colombe FC's victory. Colombe FC of Sangmelema, who has made it to the Cameroon Cup finals after beating Isosa of Limbe. And the Mutation also talks the same affair as Lametoye, but this time changes the angle a little bit and focuses more on the very first time of which the Colombe FC has actually made it to the finals of the Cameroon Football Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, this will end this edition of the press review on CAM1 radio and the television. Of course, the frequency is 99.5 FM. I am the host and the presenter daily, Ekome Charles Abane. We shall be coming back to more subsequent news press reviews tomorrow on this very network. Ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed in the company of more programs on the CAM1 radio and television. Stay blessed.